Some experts say that with fracking, we are fueling the climate crisis, not abating it.
From local government all the way up to the state legislature and the governor has a fiduciary obligation to protect the natural resources of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Gas industry only touts the wonderful things about gas and fracking without really discussing the public health impact of fracking on the people who live there and the people who have to breathe the air or drink the water in that area.
Honesty, courage and responsibility, three qualities the Pope says he wants everyone on Earth to show in the battle against climate change. As he publishes a 192-page letter ostensibly to bishops in which he says humans are ruining their own home with global warming.
Climate change is a problem we can no longer be left to a future generation.
I was raised on a farm, and my dad always taught me to be an environmentalist. He always was recycling things, so at a very early age, I learned about recycling. You know, there's an old Pennsylvania Dutch saying that I love. It's use it up, wear it out, make do or do without. And that's kind of the way I have been in my life. So my old business, Bustin Industrial Products, I ran that for 23 years. We manufactured safety grading. It was the safest grading that you could buy. So we were helping people avoid injuries, slips and falls. So I had this strong environmental background, but despite that, I spent over $200,000 converting a plant I owned from oil to gas 12 years ago, thinking I was making the correct environmental decision. I thought frack gas was better than oil. And what I was looking at was that little blue flame, hardly emitting any pollution at all. It emits 50% of what oil does. I was told by the gas companies there was no incidence of water contamination, that there was no environmental consequences, that the chemicals used in the process were as safe as those under my sink.
I mean, the problems with fracking fluids is that it's contaminated with all kinds of chemicals. Many of them are proprietary and known only to the gas companies. But among them, the ones that we do know, we know something like 114 of them actually are harmful chemicals. Something like 40% of them are known carcinogens. 157 of them actually cause reproductive harm. And it's not surprising, perhaps, that we are seeing things like low birth weight babies for people who live within close proximity, or that we might be seeing childhood cancers in people in Southwest Pennsylvania.
The State Health Department earlier this year conducted an analysis of cancer data in the southwestern PA area due to community concerns about an alarming spike in Ewing sarcoma and other childhood cancers. And they feel that it didn't address environmental hazards they feel may be contributing to those cancers as well, specifically fracking.
There is absolutely no way to make fracking safe. It's impossible. Methane is 86 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. So it is a very powerful climate changing pollutant. It is so much more devastating than carbon dioxide, and one of the reasons why we're having such a devastating heavy boot print in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and in other US states is because of the advancement of the fracking industry.
You have literally 1,700 studies that have been done, all showing and pointing to the harmful effects of fracking, knowing that some of the effects have permanent and lifelong damage and illnesses and disabilities for those who have been exposed to fracking, and there's basically no response. It's as if we don't really care, because the gas industry is really too powerful in this state.
Every member of the legislature has taken an oath to uphold the Constitution of Pennsylvania. And that means they've taken an oath to uphold Article 1, Section 27. But it also means they are trustees of our natural resources for future generations. So what I would urge them to do is evaluate what they're doing, and are they doing everything they can to stop climate change, whether it deals with methane or the carbon emissions. They should deal with that as part of their responsibilities.
It's a very strong body of law. It's a very strong duty that is owed to all the people by these legislators, by these government officials. The legislators and the governor are not just sitting back, helping the industry along, helping the fracking industry along, but they are also proactively helping to advance the infrastructure that is very literally cutting through our waterways, cutting through our forests, cutting through our communities, bringing their own set of devastating impacts.
Under the agreement done during the Bush administration, the fracking process was actually exempt from the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Safe Drinking Act, the Superfund Act, any number of other environmental regulatory provisions that we have.
Knowing what we know about drilling and fracking for gas, knowing about how it devastates our water resources, how it poisons our air, how it devastates our forests and our wetlands and species of all kinds.
Everyone keeps saying that climate change is an existential threat and the most important issue of all, and yet they just carry on like before. I don't understand that, because if the emissions have to stop, then we must stop the emissions. To me, that is black or white. There are no gray areas when it comes to survival. Either we go on as a civilization or we don't. We have to change.
gonna die. You think I'm playing with the things that I'm saying? I'm really not. How we manage a damage plane and it still won't stop. Man, I wonder.
This has been a difficult journey for me personally over the past 9 years, fighting to be heard. I've been involved in social justice for 50 years. I don't recall that it has ever been as hard as it is today to be heard.
Not only are we constitutionally, legally bound in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to protect our natural resources for the benefit of the people of Pennsylvania, but the fact of the matter is the entire world is at stake.
I think the legislature and its committees should take hard looks at what is our sources of energy and what we can do to get us off fossil fuels and get more into the wind and the solar and things like that. That's a very difficult thing to do, but they need to do it. They're elected. They got the responsibility to protect the environment, and I hope they will.
It is our duty as citizens of Pennsylvania to uphold this right because at the end of the day, it is our constitutional right. We cannot stand idly by and watch greed corrupt our beautiful state filled with diverse flora and fauna. We fortunately have this beautiful amendment in our Constitution right in the palm of our hands. Our Sustainability Committee's focus is to always start fighting locally. So I'm very proud to say, as of January 2019, Northampton Community College became the largest community college to switch to 100% renewable energy in the country.
What I hope for our children's future and our grandchildren's future is that we will not dump this whole climate crisis issue on their shoulders. I'd like to see us come together and fight this thing together instead of trying to fight the deniers, fight the people that don't believe it's happening, but to fight for progress and fight for the future.
So the whole nation is watching what we're doing here. And the whole nation is watching to see how and when we succeed.
The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not.